He saw the end of the world. No one believed him. In 6 hours, 156,000 people will land in Europe. But right now, you're one of the few people who understands what those returns actually mean. You sit in a damp steel hut, staring at a green cathode ray screen, less than a kilometer from the Normandy coast. You call in. A sleepy voice on the other end tells you the weather's too rough for birds, let alone a fleet. Yeah, seriously. Within a few hours, the screen in front of you will be packed with dots, too dense to count. Many of your commanders will dismiss the reports and return to bed. The alarm line will never be activated. And the beach behind you will become the grave of thousands of men. Men no one was willing to believe were coming. You have no name in history. You're just a radar shift, one of hundreds like you along the French coast that night. But tonight, you're the only man in this bunker who trusts the screen more than the forecast. So why didn't anyone believe the men who could actually see it coming? Tonight the sea is unusually rough, and you've grown used to your screen showing nothing but clutter. You've held this post for 14 months. You know the difference between a storm and a single reconnaissance plane. But at 23:09, something else appears on the screen. Not one, not two. You count to 20 and stop because the number has stopped making sense. You pick up the phone. It rings 3 times before someone answers.
Was? Zu dieser Stunde?
You report the coordinates. You report the count. Your voice stays level even though your hand doesn't.
Heute Nacht fliegt nicht einmal ein Vogel.
The line goes dead. You look back at the screen. The dots are still there, unmoved by anyone's disbelief. You tell yourself it could be sea clutter. You spend your first 3 months learning to tell the difference. This isn't sea clutter. You call again. No one picks up. Outside, the rain keeps falling. Inside your head, a question starts forming that you're not ready to answer. If no one is listening, does the report mean anything at all? You write it in the logbook yourself, timestamp and all, then look back at the screen. The dots have doubled. No one comes to check your screen that night. No one will for the next 4 hours. Your phrase station is one of the most advanced radar sets still running along this coast. Range past 100 kilometers. It's regarded as one of the Atlantic Wall's primary early warning systems. You believe that. So did your commanders. But a perfect machine has one fatal flaw. It's only as good as the person willing to listen to it.
Heute Nacht fliegt nicht einmal ein Vogel.
That line is still ringing in your ears. You understand why he thinks that way. Command spent weeks studying the tides, the wind, the surf, and concluded no Allied commander would be insane enough to land in conditions like this. The logic isn't wrong. The problem is that logic has hardened into certainty, and certainty doesn't check the screen. You try a different angle. You call the neighboring station 12 kilometers east.
Wir sehen es auch. Hier nimmt auch niemand ab.
You're not the only one being ignored. Across the network, other stations are reporting similar returns. And station after station is hitting the same wall. The confidence of people who never sit in front of screen. You add another line to the logbook. 2342. The system isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it always does, staying silent, sweeping, recording, perfectly honest about what it sees. It was never the machine. You were trained to tell sea clutter from a real object. Clutter flares and fades. A real object holds position sweep after sweep. What's in front of you doesn't fade. You try to find another explanation. Any explanation less frightening than the obvious one. There isn't one. By 1:15, the number has outrun your ability to count by eye. You pick up the phone for the 3rd time that night. This time someone answers immediately, but the voice carries the irritation of a man just woken up and annoyed about it.
Das ist wieder nur Sturmrauschen. Geh schlafen.
You want to argue. You don't. You're a young radar officer talking to someone with a higher rank, and tonight, rank beats evidence. You put the receiver down, hands still shaking, and do the only thing still within your power. You're right. Every number, every timestamp, every estimated coordinate, into a logbook that no one may open before sunrise. No one comes, but your screen is about to show you something no number could ever describe. By 4:45, the sweep no longer leaves separate dots. It leaves a single solid mass, covering almost a quarter of the screen. You learn that when object density exceeds a radar's resolution, the machine displays it as one block. You're looking at a single block the size of a fleet you can't picture. Whatever is out there, it's already too late to stop it. Not for lack of trying. There's simply no time left to mobilize anything capable of answering a force this size. You reported this at 23:09. It's nearly 5 a.m. now. 6 hours spent on drop calls and half-asleep voices. You don't make a fourth call. For the first time all night, you understand that your report will not change anything anymore. All that's left is to wait for sunrise on the thing you saw, long before anyone else was willing to believe it. Outside, the fog begins to lift. You imagine this moment 100 times in training. No drill prepares you for the real sound of it. This isn't one explosion. It's hundreds of naval guns firing at once, and the ground under your feet carries each shockwave before the sound even arrives. You look out at the sea. What used to be dots on a screen are now real flashes, a few kilometers offshore, tearing through what's left of the darkness. The same sector you logged at 23:09. You don't need the map to know that. You saw those numbers long enough for them to burn into memory. 6 hours ago, they were just ink in a logbook no one bothered to open. Now they're fire.
Wir bekommen von überall Meldungen.
You don't answer. You just set the receiver down and look at the logbook still open on the desk. Your own handwriting from midnight's still there, untouched by anyone until this exact moment. The battle ends here, but the question you carry for the rest of your life never does. Surviving wartime records indicate that multiple radar and coastal observation posts reported unusual contacts that night. Many of those reports were delayed, discounted, or overshadowed by the confusion created by Allied deception measures. You weren't the only one who saw it coming. Across the network, operators were trying to separate real contacts from the confusion created by Allied deception measures. Hours earlier, Allied bombers had seeded the coast with chaff and decoy formations, feeding false fleets to station after station, until no one commanding the network could tell which blips were real anymore. Yours happened to be. That didn't make them easier to believe. After the war, no one asked what you fired. You never fired anything. They asked what you saw and why no one believed you. The evidence was never the problem. The problem was who had the authority to listen to it.
I had the numbers right.
That saved no one. The radar worked. The information existed. The decisions failed. Your story is one of hundreds like it, never told the same way twice. A night when the evidence was correct, and it didn't matter at all. Every number in that logbook was correct. It still didn't save a single man on that beach. If you want the next Turning Point history refused to listen to, subscribe to Turning Point History. We'll see you in the next one.